Yo, let's go and welcome to the video. Today I wanted to go over my gear plan for phase 2. If you just want to look at the gear on your own and not listen to why I picked what I picked, I'll leave a link in the description. So starting off with the headpiece, we've got the tier 5 helm. Not many other options to choose from. I want the meta socket for the chaotic Skyfire diamond. That's going to come into play for having the 4-piece set bonus, which increases your Starfire damage against targets afflicted with Moonfire or Insect Swarm by 10%. So then having 3% with that 10% should go hand in hand. And then normal enchant glyph of power and the yellow gem, potent noble topaz. My goal for this set is to have as much crit as possible without sacrificing too much spell power to get that, but it's got a 5 spell damage socket bonus anyways, so we're getting like 1 extra spell power and 4 crit instead of using like a 9 spell power gem. So the necklace, the brooch has hit on it. We're looking for all the crit. We're getting hit from the other pieces anyways, so we don't need hit on our neck, so we just have to compare it to the Adornment of Souls, so 28 spell power, 23 crit, to 41 spell power, 24 crit. 1 more crit, more spell power. This only has 16 in it, this has 20, so this gives 1 extra spell power from the intellect, so it's really a 12 spell power difference instead of 13. Shoulders, not really another option for shoulders either. Maybe there is. We would have to use the tier chest instead of the vestments to have the 4-piece. I don't think that's worth trading these two, so we're gonna want the tier shoulders. Maybe mantle in the meantime until you get all the other stuff. It's got a lot more intellect, which I like. 9 more in. That 25 crit's making me think. It might be an either or thing. You either have to have shoulders or you have to have the chest. Onto the cloak. There's 1 new one, but no crit on it, so I'm gonna keep with the brute cloak. Alliance has not killed a world boss yet on my server, so I wouldn't even consider the highborn cloak an option for me, but pretty comparable. A little less crit, but more spell power. I'd choose the crit. So the vestments, I don't know if these are going to be like Mage, Warlock, Shadow Priest, BiS 2, but at first I had the tier chest, and then I switched it up, and it put me over the hit cap, but it gave me more crit and only 1 less spell power, so I went with the vestments instead of the chest. Not a leather worker, so only 1 option for the bracers, but spell power and crit again. Weapon, the Nexus Key. I think overall I compared it with like a main hand and offhand, and this is just going to give you the most crit and spell power and 52 int on top of all that. Crazy weapon. And then Sunfire enchant. I'm not going to be using Wrath in my rotation anymore really, or Insect Swarm, so having the 10 extra arcane damage with the Sunfire, using Moonfire and Starfire basically for the rotation. Tier gloves we need for the 4-piece. We're already over hit cap for Alliance. We're half a percentage short for a horde, so having something like Anger Spark isn't going to help much. Having all that hit is just kind of wasted. Spellfire's pretty close, but I mean, we're getting more spell power from the 17, and it does have 2 sockets, but we need the 4-piece. I don't think this would outweigh that 4-piece set for us, or justify giving this up and taking the tier chest. It's all a balance. It's kind of weird having to have the 4-piece, like, you know, which 1 piece do you want to leave off? The crafted belt and boots. That's where a lot of our hit is coming from. This only has hit and spell power. The belt of blasting has crit, 30 crit as well. No intellect, but that 30 crit is pretty big. No other new belts really. Legs we need for the 4-piece. Trousers, no crit on it. We don't need hit from the pants, so won't need the spell strike. Same thing for leggings of 7th circle from Kazakh. So the tier 5 is the best option for legs. And then back to the boots. Pretty close to these, but I think I went with boots of blasting for the hit and crit and spell power since it's got all 3 to get me capped after I'd chosen a lot of other pieces, so these aren't that bad though. Maybe something to pick up in the meantime while getting other pieces if nobody else wants them. It's got 15 spirits snuck in between the int and stamina up there. Rings, no chains in the rings. There's this ring here, but I don't like this ring or the Cenarian Expedition Exalted ring that just has stamina, no intellect, because the intellect's giving a minor amount of crit and spell power. It's got 5 more spell power raw and 3 more crit rating, but that intellect gives 4 spell power, so it's just got intellect. So you could use this ring instead of Ring of Recurrence, I guess, but or even the Violet Signet. I don't know, just not having the intellect I don't like. It's more of a preference thing, I guess. So you could do Ring of Endless, Ring of Recurrence. Crimson Fury has hit, no crit. Trinkets, you do an icon, and the Sextant of Unstable Currents gives 40 crit, and your spell critical strikes have a chance to increase your spell damage and healing by 190 for 15 seconds. So that's what this whole set's kind of based around, is the 4-piece set bonus, the meta gem, and this trinket. Trying to get this trinket to proc as often as possible. So in Boomkin form with no raid buffs, we're at over 30% crit. Not much more spell power than phase 1, but a lot more crit. So hopefully this thing can proc pretty often, and it'll be up during our burst phase for heroism and icon up at the same time, and destro pot, all the buffs going. That's my plan for this set, is to try to take advantage of this trinket. So for Alliance, I'm 0.48% over the hit rating, which gives me the option to take a point out of balance of power if I want and just be 0.5% under cap, and then I could either max out brambles or add another point to subtlety, put it wherever I wanted to put it, add a point in celestial focus to try to get some stun while I'm out in the world farming or something. But for Horde, you could change a couple of the gems up to get closer to that cap, or just be 0.5% under cap. Shouldn't hurt that much. I think I'll stick with the Starfire, even though there is a new one and adds 20 spell crit rating to the Boomkin form. So it's almost 1% crit. So it's like, do I want like another 1%, or do I want that 55 damage to Starfire? So I think I'll stick with the Starfire. Maybe pick that up, since it's going to give that to the other 4 casters in the group, not just me. Maybe if they're trying to like parse or something on a fight, I can give that to them and sacrifice my tiny bit of extra Starfire damage. There's 2 other trinkets that I might try to look at. Is the Living Root of the Wild Heart, Zone Drop from Serpent Shrine. I was trying to read some of like the comments, like the old comments, and in Boomkin form it looks like I can proc a 209 spell power buff, and then also in just like your caster form you can have it proc 170 or something, and they can be up at the same time. We'll have to see how it actually works. Here it is. You can get 175 damage from the Cenarian Blessing and 209 from the Boomkin Blessing, giving a total of 384. So the only thing is you'd have to be switching forms. You like either start off in human form and cast until you get the proc, and then use a global cooldown to switch to Boomkin form, and then hope that the Boomkin form one procs. It seems kind of, I don't know, is it worth it? It'd be something different, like a different playstyle to try to play, you know, instead of just sitting there in Boomkin form, moonfiring and starfiring. You could add a little, you know, buff element, shifting element to the rotation to try to see how it works out. But I don't know. Maybe if a couple of these drop, we don't have many druids in the guild, so if they're dropping every other week and I pick one up, might give that a try. The other trinket is Dark Moon Card Wrath. Each time one of your direct damage attacks does not crit, you gain 17 spell crit rating for the next 10 seconds. This effect is consumed when you deal a crit, so this could just try to help boost us to keep as many crits going. And we could switch this with the icon to try to keep our other trinket, the Sextant, proc as often as possible. There's no raw spell power and like no spell power on use, which I don't care for, so this would be another thing that maybe if I get a couple of the pieces for the card and want to mess around with it, might try that. A couple of gems to point out. You know, there's the honor point gems, so right now I have enough honor to buy both of these saved up. So if you don't have honor, or you haven't checked these out yet, just 12 spell power and a 6 spell power 5 crit you can buy from honor points, and a couple of heroic gems. So there's the fluorescent Tanzanite, 6 spell power 4 spirit, 6 spell power 6 stam, and then 6 spell power 4 crit. I know some people use threat on their cloak. I use the 20 spell pen. I don't know if it's actually helping on top of like the curse of elements from warlocks to really like prevent the partial resist and stuff on bosses, but I've got it there just in case. Most of the times there's not threat issues. There was kind of early on, but at this point, you know, the tanks are kind of doing their thing. My phase 1 BiS, this might have changed, I don't know, but let's just see. In Boomkin form, so we're adding like 7% crit, 11, 19, only what, 30 more spell power, so not too much spell power change. Huge crit change and the damage potential from the procs from the Trinket and the 4-piece should still make our Starfires hit a lot harder than Phase 1. Another thing to get ahead of for Phase 2 drops is the mats for belt and boots. So you can get these mats ready. 15 primal fire, not much cloth luckily, so 4 spell cloth, 4 shadow, couple of nether. See, these are BO, well the boots are BOP, so you've got to be a tailor to have the boots, but the belt you don't. So if you're not a tailor, you'll have to use different boots. The velvet boots probably, and then find hit somewhere else, and then nether vortex. I haven't even looked what these are dropped by. Oh, so it's just a zone drop? Okay. Hopefully these are dropping often. But yeah, we'll be getting new pants. So, 10 primal mana. Just farming all of this stuff all over again. It's a lot. So might as well get started now. Get prepared. Who knows what piece you're going to get first in Phase 2. So having some primal fire, primal mana, some gems ready. If you have spell strike and you don't have meta gem, try to get one now. The price is probably pretty good now, and I would imagine it's gonna skyrocket back before like when Phase 2 drops. So might as well pick up a Chaotic Skyfire Diamond now. I think that wraps it up. Yeah, there's still like what 4 or 5 pieces you can kind of swap around and change the stuff up a little bit, like the ring, maybe switching out the gloves or the shoulders. But yeah, this is kind of based around those couple of things. 4-piece set bonus, Trinket, and meta gem. So if you've got a difference in playstyle and you have a different set that you came up with, I'd love to see it. Same with like your trinkets. If you've got a different setup for your trinkets, I just like having the on use and raw spell power. So the icon for sure, and Sextant for this set. There's a smaller version of the Sextant, actually. I forget what it's called, but it's something you can get before you actually pick this one up. Might do a video though on how to, like, the strategy to parse on here, even though I've only got 199. The other 2 parses aren't too bad, so keep a lookout. Might do that tomorrow. But have a good one.